Somewhere on your calendar, there's a date. And on that date, you're walking into a room you've never seen for a process nobody ever really explained to you to negotiate the rest of your life. Maybe you've pictured it a dozen different ways: a courtroom with fewer people, a tense negotiation table out of a movie. The truth is usually smaller and less dramatic than whatever you've been imagining. But that doesn't make the buildup feel any less enormous beforehand. No wonder it feels enormous. Let's make it feel like a meeting instead. Divorce Smarter with Claude. Episode 10. Getting Ready for Mediation. Strip away the nerves for a second, and mediation is simpler than it sounds. A neutral third person, the mediator, sits with both of you and helps you work toward an agreement. They're not a judge. They don't rule in anyone's favor. Their entire job is helping two people find something they can both actually live with. They also don't work for either of you individually, which is worth sitting with for a second. That neutrality is the whole mechanism. A mediator succeeds by helping both sides move, not by deciding who's more correct. And that's a genuinely different dynamic than anything adversarial you might be bracing for. That's a meaningfully different room than the one people picture when they hear the word negotiation. Nobody's trying to win a verdict. There's no ruling at the end, just an agreement or the absence of one. That changes what preparing for it should actually look like. It also means the room rewards a different set of skills than the ones you'd need for a courtroom. Less about building an airtight case, more about knowing clearly what you need, what you can flex on, and what a workable outcome actually looks like to you. Before anything else, sort what you want into two piles and be honest with yourself about which is which. Needs, the things you genuinely cannot walk away without. Wants, the things you'd like, that would feel good, but that you could live without if it came to that. This is harder than it sounds, and it's worth doing more than once. Write the list, walk away from it for a day, then come back and challenge your own first draft. Ask honestly whether each need would actually be unlivable to lose, or whether it just felt that way in the moment you wrote it down. The list usually gets shorter and more honest on the second pass. Most people walk into their first mediation with everything mentally filed under need, because everything feels urgent when you're in the middle of it. That's understandable, and it's also exactly what makes negotiating well nearly impossible. If everything is non-negotiable, there's no room to actually reach an agreement with another human being who also has needs and wants of their own. Doing this sorting before you're in the room, calmly, on your own time, is completely different from doing it live, under pressure, while someone's watching your face for a reaction. Practically, bring your needs and wants list, obviously. Bring your 2-page disclosure summary from episode 4, so you're not trying to recall specific figures from memory in the room. Bring a clear sense of your absolute floor, the outcome below which you'd rather not agree at all. That floor number matters more than people expect going in. It's the one thing you decide calmly beforehand, precisely so you never have to calculate it live, under pressure, with someone watching you think. Know it cold before you sit down, and you'll never be at risk of agreeing to something in the moment that you'll regret by the time you're back in the car. Leave the folder of every grievance from the last 3 years at home. Mediation isn't the venue for establishing who was right about what happened in the marriage. It's the venue for deciding what happens next. Bringing history into it tends to slow everything down without moving anything forward. 2 specific jobs here. First, turning your rough, honest needs and wants list into a clean 1-page summary you can actually glance at during a break in the session, when you're tired and want a reminder of what you actually walked in there for. Second, and this one comes up constantly in real mediations, comparing 2 versions of a proposal side by side when things start moving fast. Mediators often float draft numbers back and forth in the room, and it's easy to lose track of what actually changed between the version from 20 minutes ago and the one sitting in front of you now. Both of these share the same underlying purpose: keeping your thinking clear when the room itself is doing everything it can, just by being stressful and unfamiliar, to make clear thinking harder. Use this a day or two before mediation, once you've done the needs and wants sorting honestly. I have mediation coming up for my divorce. I'm going to paste a rough list of what I need and what I'd like but could live without. Organize this into a clean one-page summary with 2 clear sections, non-negotiables and flexible points. Keep each point to a single line. This is for my own reference during the session, not a legal document. Paste your list underneath, print the result, and bring the paper. A phone screen is one more thing to fumble with in a stressful room. If your situation genuinely doesn't fit 2 clean sections, that's fine too. Ask for a 3rd column for anything you're still unsure about. Not every item has to be sorted perfectly before the session. Some of that sorting is allowed to happen live, once you're actually hearing what's on the table. Use this during a break if you find yourself holding 2 versions of a proposal and losing track of what actually moved. I have 2 versions of a proposal from mediation today, and I'm going to paste both below. Compare them side by side in a table. What changed between the 2? And for each change, note whether it seems to move toward what I said I needed, move away from it, or is roughly neutral. Don't tell me which to accept. Just help me see the differences clearly. 5 minutes with this during a break is often clearer thinking than you'll manage live in the room, mid-conversation, with everyone waiting on your answer. An important boundary. This isn't about scripting a performance or trying to out-negotiate someone using a tool they don't know you're using. Mediation works because both people are participating honestly, and that's still true even with prep tools involved. There's a real difference between walking in prepared and walking in with a rehearsed script designed to manipulate the outcome. Preparation makes you a clearer, calmer participant. A script makes you a performer, and mediators, who do this for a living, tend to notice the difference faster than people expect. It's also not the place to spring new information on someone that hasn't been disclosed through the proper process already. A surprise document pulled out mid-session isn't a clever move. It's usually a fast way to stall the whole session while everyone deals with the surprise instead of reaching an agreement. One honest thing worth knowing going in: most mediations don't end with a fully signed final agreement on the very first session. Sometimes they end closer. Sometimes they end with homework, a few outstanding points to think about before the next one. If you've been picturing one long day that ends with everything resolved, it's worth adjusting that picture now, gently, before the day itself. Multiple sessions aren't a sign anything's going wrong. For a lot of people, it's simply what the normal version of this process looks like. That's not failure. Progress in mediation is often incremental, not a single dramatic breakthrough. If you walk in expecting one clean conversation to resolve everything, the ordinary, slower reality of it can feel discouraging when it's actually working exactly as it usually does. If mediation doesn't fully resolve things, or if it was never part of your path, the next episode in this track covers what to expect walking into a courtroom for the first time, and how to prepare for that specifically. For now, if a mediation date is already sitting on your calendar, start the needs and wants list tonight. It's easier to sort honestly with a few days to sit with it than the morning you're due in the room. Knowing what you actually need, clearly and calmly, before you ever sit down at that table is most of what preparation for this really is. One step at a time. See you in the next one.